I feel like we've dedicated a lot of time talking about trucking companies that are going under, but we don't spend nearly as much time on talking about owner-operators that are losing their trucks, that are losing their homes. And I wanted to dedicate a full video on financial hardship, but more from a driver standpoint, from an owner-operator standpoint, from that lease operator standpoint, and what are their options. So it's no secret, I mean, the times are tough and trucking companies are folding left, right, and center. And I've talked a lot. I think I've done probably 7 or 8 videos of different companies that have gone under in the last couple of months. Simultaneously, at the same time, there's also, I would say, thousands of owner-operators that are losing their trucks. And I want to try to kind of help out the audience on what we can do as owner-operators, as lease operators, in order to try to avoid to lose that truck. So first we'll talk about what's happening or the difficulties that owner-operators are having right now, and then we'll talk about the solutions to it. So owner-operators are feeling their payments, they're feeling stressed, they're overwhelmed with debt, they're overwhelmed with payments, with monthly subscriptions. I mean, the payments don't stop. Everything's nice and dandy when you're billing at $3 a mile, $3.50 a mile, and the mileage is there and you're running 10,000-11,000 miles per month. But the problem is that's not what's happening right now out there. I mean, owner-operators pay has significantly decreased in the last 12 months. An average pay, I think net take home, you'd probably have an owner-operator billing at $2.40, billing at $2.50. An owner-operator would probably have about $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 left over at the end of the month after all the payments. Today, they're barely scraping probably, I would say, $7,000 or $8,000, with today's national average freight rates being at around $2 a mile. And best case scenario, $2 a mile. If you're working with a company that solely is on the load board, then you're probably running at about $1.80, $1.85 per mile once you count all your deadhead. So what can you do as an owner-operator? So I've done this for some of my owner-operators. I've done this for some people that have booked consultations with me. What I've done for them is I've actually drafted a document for their finance company. So basically it's a letter asking their finance company to give them some breathing room because of the hardship right now that's happening in our industry. And basically it's a letter stating, the type of difficulties that owner-operators are having right now. And it's a letter to the bank asking them to postpone their payment or do interest only. From a bank's perspective, I've talked to a couple of brokers about this and I asked them, what would the bank do in this situation? And they pretty much said, listen, the banks are not in it to repossess trucks. They don't want to hold on to trucks. They don't want to repossess trucks. They want nothing to do with your truck. So when a letter comes across saying that, I'm a good person and I've made payments until today and I need some breathing space because of the situation of what's happening and I'm overwhelmed with debt, and I'm sure you guys can all relate. I mean, those credit cards are getting packed. Those credit cards are already starting to reach their max capacity. You're going through multiple credit cards already. I mean, I know the owner-operators that I've talked to, I mean, they are all in the same situation. It's no secret and there's absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. So what I'm saying is that it's better for you to send out a letter to your financial company asking them for a 3-month grace period. Basically, either asking them for a deferral of the 3 months to tackle it onto the back of your lease, or you want to ask them for interest only for the next 3 or 4 months. It gives you the grace period that you need to catch up on those bills, to wind down those credit cards a little bit as best as you can, and then hopefully it gives us enough time that this market shakes up and wakes up a little bit, and for the national freight rates to go up to about 210, 215. Life will be a lot better for all of us if freight rates go up just a little bit, maybe 10 cents, 15 cents. Once the freight rates are around 210, 215, it gives us all breathing space. But until then, we all have to be creative. We all have to hold hands together and we have to ride this out together. Now, I've created a document and I've put a link below. You guys can all use this document to send it to your financial institutes for those of you that are feeling this and for those of you that are having financial hardship right now. For those of you that are interested in the sessions with me, you're more than welcome to join our channel membership under the Mentee program. You will be able to have access to private sessions with me where you can ask me everything and anything that you want about certain topics. So I do this twice a week. You'll get the invitation and you'll be able to ask me whatever questions you have, whether about this topic or other topics. So hopefully you learned something from this video. So I have linked the document for all of you guys out there. It's called the Financial Hardship PDF form that you're all welcome to send your finance companies if you do need the deferral in your payments. Hopefully you learned something from this video, and make sure you share this video with other truck drivers that are having a hard time.